One love to the humble. One love to the humble. One love to the humble. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being here. You know, I had someone want to talk about to you. Someone want to talk about, it's strange to see what's going on right now, Strange to see it. And the question I had was, what happened to black women? Like, overall, like, what happened to black women? When you look at what's going on today, it's kind of a strange thing to see. Now, some of you may remember a different time, and some of you may not remember a different time. This may be all you have ever known it to be, what you see right now. That may be all you ever known it to be. But I'm here to tell you, it ain't always been like this. It's kind of crazy what's going on today, if you really think about it. And I understand why it changed. I can understand how it got to this point. But it's not good. It's not good for society at all. And it's really not good for the black community at this point. Now, I know somebody gonna say, well, why are you ain't saying nothing about men? Look, I'll talk to the men another time. Right now I'm talking about this. What happened to black women? What happened? Now let's go back some time ago. Now, it was a time when black women were very, very different than they are today. Very different. Very, very different than they are today. Some of the things that they're into today, it just was unheard of for black women to be involved in back then. It just wasn't gonna do it. Like, it used to be a point where I remember, it's probably like women in general, but right in particularly, I'm talking about black women right now. It was a time when black women would not even put their undergarments on the clothesline. Back in the day when people used to use clotheslines, they wouldn't even put their undergarments on the clothesline. They wouldn't even let you see it hanging up on the clothesline, let alone walk outside in public with only that on. That was not the case. Black women just was not going to do that. They carried themselves in a certain kind of way back in the day. You know what I'm saying? You always had your group of people that always did stuff. There was always promiscuous, right? You always had that small percentage. But it was a small percentage. It was nothing like it is today, where it's such a big deal. Like everybody's doing it. And it's like a trend. It's trendy to do it. And if you don't do it, something wrong with you if you don't do it today. Well, somebody would say, well, they probably was doing it back then too. Like I said, it was people doing that, but they wasn't the majority. They wasn't the majority at all. It wasn't even half. It wasn't even something that anybody would say out loud. Like, you would not say you were that. You would not tell anybody you were doing these things. And it wasn't even a thing where the guy would keep it a secret. The guys would tell the other guys about the girls who was like that, but it wasn't that many of them. It was such a small percentage of girls that was like that. And you knew all of them by name, and you can count them on your hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, even at the school, you knew it was only like a few girls that would be down with stuff like that. It wasn't like you could just close your eyes and pick, or it was just a secret, but all girls were doing it. No, you knew who they were, and it wasn't that many. And like today, you see everybody just post about it. They talk about it. They tell you what they are. They tell you to join their OF or whatever they got going on. They telling you out loud to come do this. Back then, if you wasn't in the know, then you wouldn't know. You had to go up and at least, unless somebody told you, like I said, being in the know, somebody told you what was going on, then you might do it then, you might know then. But other than that, you had to go up, you had to find out on your own. There wasn't no other way to find out, because they wasn't going to tell you. You had to know. But that's gone now. There's no more shame. we took away the shame, right? Shame and the guilt, they took that away. And now there's no control mechanisms in place to keep people from doing the things that they do. It used to be control mechanisms like shame. Even men would get shamed for certain things, but women would get shamed for acting a certain kind of way so they wouldn't do it. And humans need that in place. Humans need shame, and they need these things, guilt. They need that to be in place. That's what keeps humans in order, along with the law and things like that. Religion. That's what those things are for. Because if you take those things away, and you leave, excuse me, and you leave a human up to their own devices, they're gonna do something crazy, like you see going on in the world right here today. Back then women were more modest. Now you always had those who might have pushed the limits a little bit, but it wasn't common. It still wasn't common. Everybody wasn't doing it, and because most parents back then, most parents just wasn't down for it. You wasn't gonna leave out their house looking like that. You better have, if you was gonna do something like change your clothes or wear something wearing something that's showing something, you better not have walked. You couldn't have walked out the house like that. You might could change it when you got to school, but you wasn't leaving out the house like that, and you wasn't coming back home. Even if you did change at school, you wasn't coming back home with the clothes you changed into. You better came back home the same way you went out the door. Because when you get out of the house, you can do other things nobody can know about. But your parents were not gonna let you walk out looking a certain kind of way. It just wasn't gonna happen. It just wasn't gonna happen. That wasn't a black woman thing back then. Doing that kind of stuff just wasn't. It just wasn't. So when you see it happening today, you wonder what happened to black women till they got to the point now where they just don't care. And I know it's not all of them, but so many of them don't care that it doesn't matter about the ones who do care, because the ones who don't care is the ones who got the platform and the ones who representing all of them. And women got this code, right? They gotta stick together, so they're not gonna come out there and really push them to the side. They're not gonna do it. They just be quiet first, because they gotta uphold the sisterhood. But they don't care if it takes them down. They don't care. They're gonna still uphold it, because they gotta support no matter what. But what happened to black women? When did it get to the point where it's like this? Back in the day, it was a known fact that black women were not gonna do certain things in the bedroom. They just wasn't gonna do it, and you knew it. It wasn't a secret. Like, you knew that. Don't even think about it. You might have watched some on an explicit film and thought you was gonna go and get her to do it. It wasn't gonna happen, because they had certain morals and values about themselves and character. They just wasn't gonna stoop down to that level. They wouldn't do it. So if you wanted to get something like that done, you had to go. You had to go over to the white girl. The white girl was gonna have to do it, because they was always into stuff like that. They was always a little bit leaps and bounds ahead of what when it comes to stuff like that, as far as what black men were doing. Black men wasn't getting down like that. It wasn't doing that. Anything that's gonna be degraded, anything that's gonna be over the top, they wasn't with it. That was then. But now, that's not the case anymore. It's like in a 30 to 40 year period, things just flip-flop. Now you see the black women, they all out front now. They lead the way in this behavior. Every time a camera come on, a black woman got to turn around and twerk. Tell me you don't see it. Every time the video come on, I don't care if it's about them or not, they're going to find a way to get in that camera and start twerking. Or they're going to take a picture showing their backside. Or they're going to do something, even if it ain't about that. They can be cooking, but they'll find a way to twist their body so that you can see it. Or they're going to wear something revealing so that you can see it. That used to be unheard of. Black women were not doing that. They had respect for themselves. But that's gone. They don't have no more respect. They don't care about anything anymore. And it ain't no turning back. And it's this new wave of thinking that has caused this to happen. And I don't see it getting any better. They don't have any leadership. They're out of control. Because the men are not leading anymore. The men are continuously promoting this behavior and keeping them in this cycle for their own selfish good, instead of telling them why they shouldn't be doing this and keeping them out of it. You gotta remember, a lot of these young girls don't have no fathers, and they never had a man show them give them any kind of affirmation or affirm them in any type of way. So since they haven't been affirmed, they're gonna look for it in all the wrong places. Just like a young male who don't have a father in his life, he's gonna look for the streets for the father. The father is the most important part of this whole thing, but we downplay it like it's not. The father is the most important. The father is the key to the whole system. And if the father is not involved or not around, then the system falls apart. Which is why every young kid that's fatherless usually having issues. There are some exceptions to the rule, but they don't make the rule. The rule still is what it is. But what happened to black women? They don't have any leadership. They don't have anybody they can look up to. They don't respect the men. So since you don't respect the men, then this is what you get. They're not going to listen because you ain't giving them anything to respect. And then they left to their own devices. They left to fight for themselves. And what do women resort to normally when times get hard? They resort to sexualizing themselves. That's the first place they're going to go. They're not going to think about, even though you hear all this about education, that ain't what's happening, man. If they doing that, they also doing the other thing on the side. They sexualizing themselves on the side. They're doing both. They're not just doing one. They tell you for face value that they in school, but also they'll be doing other things to maintain. Because the things that women are interested in when it comes to work usually don't pay a lot of money. It's just what they're interested in. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. But they have so far gone away from originally where they were. You hear women out here now sounding like men when they talk. They're talking like men. They're moving like men. Their attitudes like men. They get tattooed up like men. They're becoming the men that they want. They are becoming it. They're it's crazy to look at, but that's what's happening. They're becoming that. When you really look at it, everything they do is like some type of competition with a man, or some type of being some way like a man. But the sad thing about it is they don't realize that acting like that is not attractive to men. But they'll tell you they don't care, they're not doing it for the man, this, that, and third, whatever, that's fine. But they don't really care about what you think anymore. At least that's what they're saying. Or maybe it could be cope. They're coping with the situation that they'll realize they done got too far gone. But they don't really understand what makes them attracted to men. And it's not doing what men do don't make you attracted to men. It just don't. Talking about money, boss, and all that, it's not attractive to men. Not the men you want. Maybe some men might be attracted to it, but the men you want is not going to be attracted to it. So the question is, what happened to black women? What happened? They've been led astray. They've been led astray. They've been sold a dream that's never going to come true. They've been sold a dream that's never going to come true. And they're going to forever chase it because the people who set it up are going to make money off of it. They have been making money off of it. Excuse me, y'all. I got these, every flying thing that can fly is out here tonight. They're attracted to this light up here. But it's a sad thing to see. And now it's with so much disrespect going on. If you try to talk to them and try to tell them, they're gonna fight you. They're gonna be ready to push back and fight. They're not gonna listen. Because they have lost respect for the men, because the men have allowed them to go astray. And it started with their father. Their father started it. Well, I won't say it like that. I understand what happens, but I'm not gonna get into that. But that's where it started from. Not having that father there to give them what they needed to set them up. And that goes, the same goes for men and women. I don't care what happens. If you look at a family that breaks apart, if the mothers can be right there in the house and it still be a problem. If the father's not there, it's still, no matter what she do, how good she try to raise them, they still gonna be messed up. They'll be good people, but they ain't gonna be messed up because they had that father thing. So they're gonna stray away from what they're supposed to be doing. Now, if you flip that around and you put that child in the house with just the father, the results seem to turn out to be the same as if it was both parents in the house. Because we got different roles and different things we're supposed to be doing, and when those things are not happening from the father's end, the whole family is no good. That's why the father's supposed to be the head of the family, head of the wife, and the wife over the children, but with the father's guidance and leadership. If you don't have that, you're going to have a problem. That's why most of the people who are in prison was raised in single mother homes. This is just the facts. This ain't me trying to be funny or nothing like that. It's just the facts. And how they get the facts? They go down there, they ask these guys, and they tell them. The inmates tell them this. It's not made up information. I think the way back is men gonna have to become worthy of respect again. You're gonna have to stop worshiping women as a man and start leading them. Worshiping them, you gotta stop. When I say worship them, I mean you gotta stop commenting all this stuff up under their posts. You gotta stop filling their head up with this stuff. You gotta stop it. They're not designed for this much. Women are built, they want attention, don't get me wrong. But what we doing right here on the internet is too much. And it's distorting their views of themselves and how things are really supposed to go. They can't deal with all this. Too much dopamine changing their brain, and they're not really seeing what's really going on. They think it's something special that's happening for them, and it ain't. They really on the roller coaster to destruction, but they just can't see it. By the time they figure it out, they're already too old and it's too late. And right now we have too much disrespect going on to the men in the community. You're gonna have to stop telling them these things. You're gonna have to stop gassing their heads up, start telling them the truth and guiding them in the right direction, showing true male leadership. Simple. Because everything else you're doing is just messing them up. So when they meet somebody for real that's telling them for real, they don't want to hear that because all 100 dudes over here told them something different. Even though them dudes over there is telling a lie, they not gonna listen to you, even though you telling the truth, because 100 dudes told them what they wanted to hear, and here you come telling the truth, you don't stand a chance. So we need all men to stop this nonsense. Stop subscribing to these channels, man. Stop paying them this money. Stop telling them these things because you think you got a chance. You ain't got a chance. Once you spend your money, it ain't no longer anything she want from you other than transaction. It's not no feelings. So you can give her all your money, you can say all these things, and she can say all these things to you. She don't mean it. She see you as a dollar. Once you make it a transactional thing, she no longer gonna respect you. And you gotta stop telling them this BS. Tell them the truth. If more people start telling the truth, they'll start listening. But other than that, they're not gonna listen. They're gonna keep on doing what they're doing. It's gonna keep on being destructive. And it's gonna affect you too, if it ain't already. Especially younger guys coming up. They don't have no male to tell them how to do anything. So they at a loss when it comes to these women, because the mama gonna tell you what's best for women. So you gonna go out here and try to treat a woman like mama told you to treat her, and she gonna run laps around you. That girl gonna run laps around you, because you're not gonna be aware of what's going on. And she 3 or 4 steps ahead of you, because women are more socially aware than men are. So she gonna run circles around you, because mama told you to treat her like this and treat her good. And she gonna break you down like a 12-gauge shotgun. That because you ain't got no father there to give you guidance and show you how to deal with these situations and understand the nature. But besides all of that, what happened to black women? They lost their way. They've been shown a way that's not going to be successful for them as a group. Because no matter what, they have this group mindset and they got the sisterhood no matter what. They're going to be down for each other. And that's fine. But they all going to end up sinking in the ship together if people don't start abandoning ship and going against this nonsense that we see out here. So, just telling you, I'm not putting no music behind this. I want this to be heard plain and clear. Because it's trouble out here. It's trouble out here in our community with this stuff. So I hope this get across to somebody, and I hope it makes somebody think about something. Even if it's just a little bit, I hope it make you think. I really do. Y'all take care.